Paul McMullan. I live with type 1 diabetes and I have done for 14 years. A wee bit of background on me: from when I was younger, I was at Celtic from the age of 10 to when I was 21. I then left and went to Dundee United, where I spent 3.5 years, and I am now at Dundee, where I have spent 2.5 years, and I'm still here.
What is your routine before training?
My routine before training is I usually, if we're in at 10 o'clock, I'll get up at 10 to 8. I'll take the dog out for about 45 minutes, come back in, I'll have breakfast probably about 9 o'clock, get myself ready to go in here for 10 o'clock. We'll maybe have a meeting or the gym in the morning, and then we're ready to train at about 11.
Do you eat certain foods or have certain drinks to help you keep your blood sugar under control when you are training or at games?
I'm a creature of habit, so I eat the same breakfast every morning, and before games I eat the same food every morning, like before every game, just so it takes one complication away and it makes it as easy as possible for me.
Where do you like your numbers to be before training or games?
You always want them to be kind of between 4 and 10, but before training or games I would rather they were the higher side of between 4 and 10. Kind of like probably between 8 or 10, and it just gives you a wee gap that no matter how hard training or the game is, that you've got a wee fallback that you're still in the zone and still in control.
Does your teammates notice if your bloods are high or low during games or training?
I actually had an incident in one of the games this year where my bloods were too high. We were away in Wales, so the travel had kind of messed them up a wee bit on different food. And a couple of my teammates were like, "What is wrong with you?" Just with the way I was acting and the way, and I eventually had to come off after about 35 minutes because I'd got it wrong. It was the first time in probably 10 years of playing professional that I've had to come off because of it. And my teammates weren't noticing, and mainly because I wasn't doing particularly well. But I think it is noticeable if something is going wrong.
What is your game routine?
My game day routine. So for a 3 o'clock kick-off, I would get up. I would get up at 9 o'clock, have my breakfast, go out, take the dog out for 45 minutes, come back, chill out. And then at about 12 o'clock, I would have spaghetti bolognese, and then have a couple of maybe like Jaffa cakes or whatever, just kind of ticking over. And then around between 1 and 1:30, I would do my insulin, and that should last maybe the 4 hours, which should take me at the end of my game.
Do you have to adjust your ratios and background insulin?
When playing? For the food I'm eating in the morning and in the afternoon, I take way less insulin due to training. And in comparison to a night time meal, I could have a big lunch and maybe do 7-8 units, and then if, for example, I had the same thing at dinner time, be doing 15 units, just because of I don't know if adrenaline is the right word, but for training and or the intensity or whatever, I just don't feel like my body needs as much.
Do you think referees should have a basic understanding of the condition?
Potentially, because it kind of probably not to this. It probably falls into the same extent as maybe a head injury. If you're kind of looking and you're trying to keep an eye out for somebody that's concussed, it could have the same serious implications on you having the hypo and whatever it is. I do think that it's something that would be handy for them to have, whether I know with a referee keeping an eye on everything that is going on in the game, they would notice something like that. I don't know, but it would maybe also for somebody, especially at kids football, for an adult who's probably the closest to respond, it would probably be ideal for them to have a basic understanding of the condition, and for if they notice something that they would be able to get somebody that could help.
Have you ever faced any negativity from players, coaches, managers and fans due to the condition?
A wee bit, but I don't think it was due to, it was through a lack of understanding. They thought that there was something wrong with me, so they never played it. It was when I first got it, when I was at Celtic, and they kind of didn't understand it, so they just thought there was something wrong and left it. And they kind of used it as an excuse almost for why they weren't playing, and that was probably the only time I've ever really had it. But no, in general, in football, people are pretty understanding, and especially if you go and kind of open up and speak to them, they try and help you the best they can.
Having type 1 diabetes because you didn't want to be treated differently?
No, for that reason, I would go to the toilet and things to do my injections, just because some people have fear of needles and things like that. You don't want to make people feel uncomfortable sitting when you're sort of injecting yourself or whatever. But no, I've never hid the fact that I've had the condition, never lied about. If somebody said, oh, if anybody got anything, you're writing down a sheet and think, oh, I don't know what to say, I've got diabetes, so I'll just click something else. But I would usually take myself away to do my injections, just surely, just so in case people don't like it.
We know people don't really understand type 1, and we are trying to change that. Do you think that all sport coaches should have a basic awareness and understanding of the condition?
Yeah, I think it would really help, especially at the youths level, when you're. I mean, my mum and dad would drive up, and you're basically leaving your child with somebody for 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever it is, and all you want to know is that this person, if something goes wrong, can help. And I think the basic understanding with the coaching and things, and it would just more give the parents a wee bit more comfort, and probably the child as well, if the coach was coming up and speaking to them and saying, I know you've got this, if there's anything you need, come and speak to me. I've got, for example, I've got a Lucozade and I've got fruit passers in the pocket if you go low, don't worry about it. And I think that would be a big help, and it would give a lot of parents an easy mind when they're dropping their kid off.
Basic awareness and access to further training and support for coaches will help attract people into the sport and keep them in it and choosing a longer.
I don't know if it would help attract people in, but I think there's more a chance of keeping people in it, because I think if you have one bad experience and that there's nobody there to help with a basic understanding, that can put people off, especially at a young age. It can put people off, and again, it's probably more parents. You're worried about letting your kid in, then if that happens in one sport, do you let them go and try another one? Probably no, because you're terrified if a bad experience happens again. So I think it's probably more once they're in there to keep them safe rather than attracting them. I don't think it would attract too many more, but again, I think it would help massively with keeping them.
Has anything ever held you back before and after you turned pro?
No once. I quite like to handle it myself and take a lot of the responsibility, but I've been lucky. The physios and the kind of doctors, whatever, have been good and really understanding. Whatever I need help, that they've been there, and that has been important. But like I say, I like to take a wee bit of responsibility for it myself and kind of look after that. But I always do know that if there is an issue, that they will have my back, and that they've got a bit of help for me.
What advice do you give for anyone living with type 1 diabetes or involved in sport?
That the condition shouldn't affect how you go about the sport. If you manage it properly, you could potentially actually have an advantage over other people, because you know what you're eating and how it's all working, and that your sugars are perfect and whatever, and that you know that you've calculated all this. There should be no fear or no worry about the condition, as long as you manage it properly and you get on top.
What would you say to coaches and managers who are currently developing their knowledge of type 1 diabetics?
It's a massive help, and that it probably doesn't mean a huge deal to them, but to that kid or that player, that maybe that one instance a year that they need to help, it makes a huge difference to them and fills them and makes them feel, I don't know if safe's the right word, but looked after and appreciated and whatever, and that they've got that basic knowledge, and that is important for a kid.
What else would you like to see change to support people like us who live with type 1 diabetes?
Look, it would be nice, like, even going through school, I don't think you learned a whole lot about the condition, which is weird considering it is a relatively common condition. So for people to have a basic understanding, like, I'd be surprised if you asked somebody and they didn't know somebody that had diabetes, and it's kind of, I think it would be helpful for a wee bit of basic understanding through schools and whatever, but I have no idea if that's ever going to be possible or not, but I think it would help even with people that are going through that at school to normalise it a wee bit and make them realise that it doesn't really affect us that bad.